Check, check. 1 2 1 2. The Phantom. The Phantom. Greetings, greetings. I think my levels are okay. If anyone shows up in chat, please let me know. John aside. What's up, buddy? Let's see. Decided to try something new tonight. I'm going to be mobile, walking around a little bit. Don't worry, this is not a stand up routine. I don't have any jokes, or at least not ones that I think are funny. Um, yeah, just if anyone's listening, I'm standing. Gone are the days of me sitting, talking to the screen. I thought if I just keep it moving, I'd be a little more, I don't know, dexterous with my words. Yeah. How are you? My name is Keats Ross. You might remember me from such films as Daddy Daycare, Happy Gilmore, Beethoven's the Third, Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and the Pragmagick podcast. Aye, aye. John aside, it's good to see you. I just wanted to stretch my legs a little bit, talk about some updates, things that are going on. I hope to make this an audio portion of the podcast as well. Uh, I know Eddie Van Halen passed away today. On that note, I would just like to say that I used to skateboard to Van Halen number one when I was in middle school, and Atomic Punk really set the measurement for badassery. 90s, killing it. You know, Burger King, Kid Vid, Rob Liefeld comic, extreme 90s shit. So that was really cool. He will be missed. His guitar playing shall haunt on forever. Sorry to see him go. Boy, it has been just the year, hasn't it? Holy shit. So I wanted to take this time. I just got back from a big trip through the Southwest to Southern California, a long road trip amongst this dire time of COVID and viral ridden America. And it was fantastic. It was hard. I learned a lot. Feel better for it. It wasn't all roses and rainbows. But I do want to mention before we go any further that we came back to some economic hardship, as I'm sure most of you are experiencing now. So today, to get a deposit of people's Patreon subscriptions came at just such a lovely time. And I'm sorry that I haven't been more exuberant about how grateful I am about those patrons. And so I wanted to take the time to read their names, say I love them. So, first of all, Douglas Batchelor, what magic is this? Thank you so much. John Miller, love you. Tony Davis, brother from Portland, thank you. Julia, I'm not sure if I know you, but I appreciate you. Robin Eagle Song, I do love you and I do appreciate you. I'm wearing my granny's pin, actually. Vanessa Sinclair and Carl Abrahamson, two of my biggest inspirations, I think, in just life in general. Fantastic people. Jason Roba, met you through Thomas Sheridan podcast I did. It's been grand. Thank you so much. Derek Hunter, my sweet friend, dear friend Derek Hunter. You know how much I would give just to give you a high five and a hug. And I'm sorry we didn't meet up in LA when I was there. Butterflies. I know that's Vanessa Kindle, who I've had in the podcast. She's absolutely wonderful. Um, and my heart goes out to her with everything that's going on in the world, just like with everybody else. Alex Ballin and Arnamancy, my two podcasting creepy Portland podcaster angle triangle. I don't even know what I'm saying. They were my two biggest podcasting friends and brethren when I first started this. Please listen to the Alex cast. Please listen to Arnamancy, and you won't be sorry you did. If I'm forgetting anyone, I know there's been many that have come and gone, and I absolutely am grateful for those that have come and gone. I know it's really hard right now for everyone, and to wake up this morning with a deposit of people, you know, giving me money for what I do is kind of the dream. So I want to thank everyone, uh, all my patrons, anyone that's bought an album recently, anyone that's, bought the We the Holozine on Amazon, all of it. You guys are you guys are salt of the earth, the Lord's work. Um, Let me get back here to the chat. Oh, okay. There's been one dark night of the soul. Yeah, so let's talk about that. I may change into sitting because this has been such an exasperating couple of weeks that my mind has been on fire. And if I'm not moving, if I'm not jiving, if I'm not shaking, I feel like I lose the thoughts that I need to fully exclaim how awesome, uh, this turnaround, this rebirth, this autumn is going to be. And Jeremy, the Alchemical Arts, thank you, sir, and congrats on your website launch. I know I'm like a phantom right now with the green screen. So yeah, and with that sigh, we shall begin. I uh as most of you that watch or listen, I dumped some podcasts that I needed to that I had previously shown on YouTube, and that was with dear friends Derek Hunter and Michelle Embry. And I did that the night before we embarked on our little vacation. And I put vacation in air quotes because it really was it was definitely an inward search. I actually started off the trip with a psychedelic experience the night before. So it was a psychedelic experience here where we started. And it was a rough one. I was in kind of the throes and the agony of months of uh, disreputable body uh, issues, of being completely devoid of health, of not taking care of myself in the somatic. And I laid there shaking like a hollow person, like a tin can rumbling on gravel, just wincing the night away, thinking all of the past few months transgressions, hardships, all of it, and it kind of came to an apex. And so embarking on the journey afterwards was never so much of a insanely jovial experience, but it was very much a touching, moving, honest thing. To spend family time was very nice. My partner's family in general are just incredible. Um, and to see my last living grandparent who is ill, as much as we could, was a godsend. And that'll slap some perspective on you. It really will. I started this year off uh, saying goodbye to my other grandmother, and I was in person and I watched her as she passed, and that was in January, I believe, late January. And so I was going to be damned, if I would allow this year to take another grandparent, because boy, this year wants to. Tell you what, this year, man, it keeps coming at you. And I do find solace in the fact that everyone's kind of in this, transitionary hardship together in this reality. We're all going through, the heavies. We're all getting slapped in the face. We're all getting our, plans slapped out of our hands, our PowerPoints shut down, our calendars erased. And the ability to remove myself from, what was it? It's been like 7 months, 7 months of just sheer entombed terror. of the self, of working through bad habits, of exacerbating bad habits, of gaining new bad habits, um, has really given me a licking. And what I've come to realize is that, we gotta, I gotta take care of the, as corny as it is, the sanctuary of the body. I've got to really focus on the somatic. So when we returned, I kind of hit the ground running. Um, Even with a bunch of bad news coming our way, financially or otherwise, it was important to me to not be enveloped in the bed, not to be enveloped in my head, and, to really kind of push through no matter what. A lot of that had to do with getting rid of the gin. And I don't mean the drink, I mean the DJINN, the Islamic mythological jinn that are, troublemaking made of smokeless fire that were here before us, that live in a parallel existence on top of ours, that can interact with us, but we can't interact with them without, proper guidance or whatever. And I say the gin not only because it's punny, right? Because alcohol is almost like this nagging gin that is hollowing you out when you're reactionary to stress, when you're reactionary to trouble. It's almost as if this shaitan, as they call them, or as that's the apex predator of the jinn hierarchy. It's it's almost as if this kind of coyote spirit, this aggressive kind of troublemaking trickster kind of thing, which in a modicum amount is absolutely amazing. You should always be devout and give thanks to that trickster within yourself to do something new and risky, right? But it gets to a point when you are possessed, and they don't call it spirits for nothing. So alcohol was a huge tundra to tumble through, and realizing that, I think of things, in allegory. I'm a person of story. I retain things better through tale, through story. And the gin has been popping up in my mind a lot. Of, you know, done some light research. Obviously, I've not read the Quran in full, or have a truly an academic understanding of of anything. But this idea of this disruptor, right? This other that's helping you wish wash through micro decisions that are negative, that are, you know, uh, destructive. And so I'm starting to kind of formalize what the issues I've had through that, even though I take full responsibility. Because let's be real, okay? I I take full responsibility. I take absolute responsibility for all the actions that I've taken. I'm not going to blame them on a supernatural entity, although, in this line of work, it's an occupational hazard. Um, but I take full responsibility, and I want to ensure that the way I perceive things, subjectively and through allegory, is the way I work through things. So having that ability to kind of see this issue, be it alcohol, be it, you know, uh, just inertia or lack thereof, ennui, is is an ability for me to keep that genie in a bottle, to keep that gin in the bottle. And so I've been really meditating on that, of just pushing through. It still happens. I can tell you a really funny story as of late. I Since I stopped drinking, I'll find myself opening the refrigerator every 15 minutes, like to the dot, opening it, forgetting why I was there, and then closing it and going sitting back down. That's muscle memory. I have ingrained muscle memory about going and grabbing another beer. And with no beer there, I just kind of wake up at the refrigerator and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't need to be here. And I keep doing it. And it's insane to me. It is insane that I have written the synapses, that I have carved, I have engraved the muscle memory of that habit. And I uh, I think that's what really shocked me into realizing that this is a time, this season being back from this trip or whatever we can call it, this restart, right? This rebirth of the new, of living presently while considering the future deeply instead of considering the present deeply, you know, and living in the past, which is kind of what I had been doing. And I just want to be on it. I don't want for not. And I want to move forward through the creative endeavors and all of the bounties that I found in this past year. And I often say that through this venture of Pragmagick, of through the 51 episodes, 40 interviews I've done, have always been to glean knowledge, to exercise the things learned from these luminaries and thinkers, like Jeremy from the Alchemical Arts, who's in the chat. It has been to practice, not just preach, not just talk all the time, not just sit and wince away at a live stream cam, but to actually move, to do things, to work through, to document it as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that yes, although that was the motive in creating this venture, it has now turned into something bigger, and that is the wonderful community that I have fostered here through Pragmagick. Um, I get shortness of breath too. It's crazy because I find anxiety now when I'm talking. Uh, it's funny. I'm just a ball of nervous energy, so I'm just finding different ways to move through it. But the community that I have been able, I have been uh, lucky, which is a loaded word, as I'm sure we all agree, that I've been lucky enough to find, whether it's, John aside, Jeremy, the Alchemical Arts, whether it's, you know, the multitude of people that I have met and continuously talked through, has to me has just been the greatest gift ever. And so I just want to share my intense gratitude for all those that listen, to those that reach out, especially those that contact me, and we foster different shades of relationships, get to know each other. And I think that's where I'm at when it comes to moving forward with Pragmagick. A lot of me is missing the pragmatic side of what the first 51 episodes were, and moving forward, I'd like to hear stories of struggle and of redemption, personal ones. I don't give a shit if you have a band camp. I don't give a shit if you have a podcast. I don't give a shit if you're a feature film director who've sold millions of books. I don't care if you work at Burger King. Actually, I do care because I want to hear those stories more. I want to hear from the people that really, really need a community to move forward, to get through, and to talk with, because I'm still learning shit. I'm still fucking up. Like, ooh, I'm really good at it. That's a habit I gotta shake, you know. But I'm really interested in these transitionary episodes of people and what kind of urged them to move beyond. We're all so different. I always thought it would take one major event, one life altering punch in the face, uh, to really move me out of some squalor or bad ideas. And for me, it's not the case. I have this innate ability to overthink for a long period of time before making the move. I am a classic late bloomer. when it comes to a lot of necessary shit as we age. And like I said, a lot of that has to do with me contemplating it all the time, thinking about, yeah, I should stop drinking all the time. It takes months, years. Finally, okay, I should stop. You know what I mean? Like everyone's transitionary aspect is completely different. Um, awesome. Jonocide says 18 years off drugs. You should share sometime. Jonocide, I'd love to have you on. I mean that. Um, because this is what I'm considering. This is what I'm deeply considering, and I want to ascertain as a human being who's lucky enough to have found such a creative commonwealth of people. I want to hear how you pull through. I want to hear how you move forward. I want to hear how you punch the day in the dick just to kick it in the butt the next day. Like, I want to hear these because I'm still struggling. I'm still trying to find a routine. I'm still trying to feel loose and, you know, move, move. I've heard um, the way to longevity is just to keep moving. And I don't mean that in the Dharma bum way, of which I am so fervently um, experienced in. It's like clockwork. It's like every few years I burn shit down and move to another state. Or, it's just like this uncanny ability to not look back and to push through. And that's my problem. I need to hold on to these relationships, these this plethora of knowledge. I need to stand steady and move parallel instead of, well, that didn't work out. Fuck it, and then let's try again with something else. So that's where I'm at. I'm in a place of gratitude. It is fucking autumn. And I know all you spooky kids love it too. Show me a spooky kid who doesn't dig autumn, and I want to talk to them because that is a very interesting preference. But yeah, to all you spooky kids, happy fucking autumn. We got through that torturous summer that was literally on fire. Um, and through a fucking pandemic. Like, let's give ourselves a moment to just revel in the idea that we got through, that we woke up, that most of us are okay, that most of us will be okay tomorrow. Because shit'll hit you. It'll come at you real fast. And I think it's important to figure out the resolve needed and necessary to transverse that, to transcend that, you know? I'm still trying to find it. That's what I'm super interested in right now. I want to hear these stories like Jonocide, how he stayed on that path for 18 years. What are the daily rituals? What is the communion you have with the self? What is those exercises, about? What do they entail? Like, what does it take? Because it takes so much. It's award winning. It's fucking people always say it's what people write books about. No one wants to read a book by a dude who just made the right choices all the time. Fuck that. Fuck that. Let's hear about making some bad choices, correcting them, and moving forward. Now, enough of my sermon on my soapbox. Um, I'm sure those listeners think I'm out of breath. It's because I'm jivey. Thank you all for coming in to just a little update. It is my passion to be consistent with this, and I've drafted up. I showed this in the Patreon. I talk about it. I've drafted up this pretty crazy daily ritual and routine to kind of just help me move forward and to help me um, get on the right track. With that, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the season. One of the other things those of you might know of me is that I'm a huge cinephile, huge music fan, you know, media, but big in the film. And Through the teaching I was doing, a lot of kids would ask me all the time, "What's your favorite scary movie?" Insert scream voice here. And I thought it'd be fun right now just to kind of talk about what's interesting me and what kind of helps pump or gloss, this beautiful autumn here. I'm sure Jeremy, though, it's I don't know, is it winter? What is it? Spring there? Is it the opposite where you're at in Australia? I forget how that works. Uh, Thank you, Jacob. But yeah, so uh, one thing that I've been really digging. So there's this 1970s film. It's kind of the precursor to the slasher. If you dig slasher movies, you should check this out. It's called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And it's loosely based on the Texarkana Moonlight murders that actually happened, which was this killing spree in the 1950s. And it is a fun, brilliant little get your popcorn out with your honey kind of walk down 70s bloodshed. It's a lot of fun. Um, Obviously, I want to at this time of year read Alvin Schwartz's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Big influence on me. Stephen Gammell's illustrations alone have rocked my artistic vernacular since I was a kid. I actually got caught in second grade at a book fair stealing the book. And I was in school suspension for quite some time because of it. So it's got this very, I'm very pious to this book because it's given me a lot of, interesting history with it. There's a documentary about it. I think I saw it on Amazon Prime. You can find it. It's really interesting. They talked about Alvin Short's the book. I know there was an actual film kind of adaptation, which wasn't terrible. It was, fun for me, but that's all nostalgia points. But there's a documentary about scary stories to tell in the dark. They have a Twitter. It's really fun. Um, and you can find it on Prime. I believe you just click "Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark." I forget what the actual name is it, but Alvin Shorts, the writer, who to me is like was before Joseph Campbell, and kind of a mythological mindset, writing and curating, because he was a folklorist, and he was my entry into just the beautiful webs woven by tales from all over the place about just the dark, the dreary, the macabre. And he was an elusive figure. Alvin Schwartz was, I've never seen an interview with him. There's like some audio recording or something, but I've always had this depiction of him in my mind as this really mad, studious academic. And this documentary sheds light on him in the books. It's really pretty, actually. Um, but I did want to take this time because now we're moving into lighter stuff. Um, so I stumbled the other day on this 2008 VH1 reality show called Scream Queens. How I never knew about this, uh, being I was in my early 20s at the time, I'll never know. Probably because I didn't watch TV. But this show is about like eight or so budding actresses in a reality kind of based game show vying for a role in that's next to be Saw movie, which I think was Saw 6. Or I'm not a big fan of the Saw movies. But what's great is it's judged by James Gunn, who, if you know Slither, which is just a remarkable, it's another great Halloween pick. Um, my favorite was Super, was this great movie starring Rainn Wilson, and a very dark comedy about a vigilante, which is fantastic. But you might know him for directing the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And in this show, it is the perfect representation of the naughties, like the 2010s uh, apex of just trash. Oh, just trash. This show would not go now. and it is just the most cringe-inducing, fun reality kind of kitschy reality show you can find. You can find it for free on YouTube. It's called Scream Queens, and there is just some shit in this show that will make you bite your nails from cringing so hard. Um, Without giving more away, uh, there is just latent racism. You have James Gunn telling actresses that they're not very good looking, but they can act, so they're okay. You know, you have him telling other actresses, "You're really good looking, but you can act, but you'll probably make it in this town." I mean, it's just in this era of woke culture, it would just set the alarms. You know, I'm surprised they didn't dig that out for James Gunn um, when they were canceling him the first time. Um, yeah, and that brings me to, like, I've been talking a lot about I've been reaching out a lot. Moving on with the podcast, I want to talk to people though that are kind of in different communities, not all occult or even art. There's a couple of people stories that I followed that have been canceled. They went through the cancel culture stuff, and I'm not doing this red pill bullshit. I'm not saying that, I want to talk to him, talk about how shitty cancel culture is. We all know it's shitty. It sucks. You shouldn't be, your livelihood shouldn't be taken away from saying some dumb shit on a fucking website. Um, but I want to hear how they move through it. I want to hear how these people in cancel culture, have come out the other side, because there's fucking no hell hath no fury like mob mentality. And in this day and age when we're all just kind of on this fucking glowing box being beamed into each other's souls, it's interesting to me that your entire livelihood is just so so nimble. I mean, so but anyways, so that's about 30 minutes, I think. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great Halloween. I think masks were made for COVID. So don't be afraid to knock on strangers' doors and cough at them, because that would be a hilarious trick. That would be one fucking trick, wouldn't it? Yeah, I didn't have anything prepared. I just kind of wanted to get back into the jiviness of live streaming and this liminal stream. Um, I hope to bring my friend Eric Millar on so we can do some more talking of media and comic books and, things to just kind of pump up the season. Because once again, aside from Jeremy and those in Australia who are doing spring, which is the second best season, uh, we're in autumn. We get spooky here. It's for the spooky kids. Spooky kids unite. Um, and yeah, just watch the leaves turn. Breathe in that crisp air if it's not on fire. Hold each other close. Tell each other you love them. Punch them in the chest. Give them. I was going to say something dark. Never mind. Um, Anyways, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening to this, I am thinking about doing a audio retrospective on the first 51 uh, Pragmagick episodes. I'll talk about each guest that I've had and one major thing I've learned from each guest. So anyone from Mitch Horowitz, Harv Bishop, Tad McCracken, Thomas Sheridan. So I'd go through and just kind of close up this season. And we're going to start season 2 um, pretty soon. Season 2 of Pragmagick is coming. Probably start on Halloween. I've been hitting the ground running with creativity. It is good to be back. And I hope to maintain. And I'm using everything in the toolbox to make sure that I just keep my head up. We keep straightforward. We keep punching, punch ghosts, kick ghosts in the crapper, and move on. Thank you, Jacob Katz. Thank you, John Aside. Thank you, Jeremy, the Alchemical Arts, for tuning in. Those of you watching the restream, we will see you soon. And haunt on.